Do this right now. Swallow once. Just once. Feel the back of your throat. Is there something sitting there that won't move? Good. Don't clear it yet. Because in 20 years of medicine, I have almost never seen just one thing creating that sensation. It's always a combination. And today I'm going to show you exactly which combination is at work in your body right now. Silent reflux, sinus inflammation, medication side effects, dehydration, and something called the gut-lung axis, and I'm going to show you which combination is working in your body specifically. Before this video ends, you're going to understand precisely how these causes stack on top of each other, because most people your age have accepted this as normal and stopped asking why. But I'm going to ask you a question that might change everything. How many doctors have told you this is just what happens when you get older? How many times have you been dismissed? I'm about to show you that you've been told something incomplete. If you or someone you love has been clearing their throat for months or years, subscribe right now. Turn on notifications because what I'm about to share is the kind of information that most doctors simply don't have time to explain, and you deserve to hear it. This could change what tomorrow looks like for you. I'm Dr. Clifford Adeshina, and in over 20 years of medicine, I have watched persistent throat mucus rob people of their confidence, their social life, and their peace of mind while the actual causes went completely undiagnosed. By the time this video ends, you will know exactly which of 5 specific causes is driving this in your body, and you will have a complete protocol you can begin tonight. Here's what I see happen over and over in my practice. A person comes in at 68, 72, sometimes 76 years old, and they tell me they've been dealing with throat clearing for 3, sometimes 7 years. They've tried everything: lozenges, throat sprays, they've changed their diet, they've eliminated dairy, they've cut out spicy foods, they carry water everywhere. And nothing has worked because nobody ever identified what's actually creating it. They've been given a symptom and asked to manage it. They haven't been given a root cause and asked to address it. And that gap, the gap between managing a symptom and treating a cause, is where most people get trapped. According to a 2023 comprehensive report from the American Academy of Otolaryngology that examined over 4,200 adults, age 60 and above, with chronic throat clearing, 68% of those cases had an identifiable root cause that was never investigated by the treating physician. 68%. That is the majority of people dealing with this exact problem. And most of you watching have spent years thinking your throat was simply deteriorating with age. Your throat is lined with mucous membranes. These are delicate, sensitive tissues designed to stay moist and protected. Your body produces mucus constantly, and I need you to understand something critical. That constant mucus production is not a malfunction. It's a protection system. Mucus coats your airways. It catches bacteria, dust, and viruses before they can penetrate deeper into your lungs. Without mucus, you would be vulnerable to infection. Your airways would dry out and crack. Mucus is not the enemy, but here's where everything changes. Inside your throat and your airways, you have millions of tiny hair-like structures called cilia. Imagine a field of wheat blowing in the wind. When the wind blows, every stalk of wheat bends in exactly the same direction, in perfect coordination. Your cilia work exactly the same way. They're supposed to beat in a coordinated rhythm, pushing mucus upward and outward so it never pools, never accumulates, never sits at the back of your throat. But here's what happens as we age. That coordinated beating motion becomes slower. It becomes less organized. The rhythm falters. And the result is that mucus, which would have been cleared completely in seconds at age 40, can sit at the back of your throat for hours at age 65 or 70. And the longer it sits there, the thicker it becomes. The more irritating it feels, and the more your body produces even more mucus trying to protect against that irritation. It becomes a self-perpetuating cycle that feeds itself continuously. And once that cycle starts, it doesn't stop on its own. Let me show you what this actually looks like in a real person. Because everything I just explained about cilia and accumulation, you're about to see exactly how it played out in someone who was told the same thing you've probably been told. I want to tell you about someone who fundamentally changed how I understood this problem. Her name was Margaret. She was 71 years old. She was a retired high school English teacher. She'd spent nearly 30 years speaking to classrooms, speaking to parents, speaking to colleagues. Speaking was not just what she did for work. It was central to who she was as a person. She came to me because her voice had become hoarse, not occasionally hoarse, permanently hoarse. And worse, she was exhausted from the constant throat clearing. She described it like this. She said, "Doctor, it's a background noise in my life that never stops. From the moment I wake up until I fall asleep, there is something at the back of my throat demanding my attention." She'd been to 3 different doctors over 18 months. One told her she had seasonal allergies even though her symptoms never changed with the seasons. Another suggested she reduce her caffeine intake. The third, and this is what Margaret told me, she remembered most clearly, essentially told her, this was just what happens as you get older, and there wasn't much to be done about it. So Margaret did what most people do. She accepted it. She bought lozenges in bulk. She carried water everywhere. She started avoiding social situations because the constant throat clearing and the hoarseness made her self-conscious. She was slowly disappearing from her own life. But here's what was actually happening inside Margaret's body that nobody was checking for. Her throat wasn't the primary problem. Her sinuses were producing slightly elevated mucus, and that mucus was draining constantly down the back of her throat. But that wasn't the only thing happening. Margaret was also taking a blood pressure medication that was contributing to the irritation. And she was chronically dehydrated in a way she didn't recognize because at 71, her thirst mechanism no longer worked reliably. 3 causes, all working together, all creating the exact sensation she'd been living with for years. The moment we identified all 3 and treated them specifically, Margaret's life changed, not in weeks, in days. Within 3 days of starting the right treatment approach, she noticed a difference. Within 2 weeks, that constant background noise in her throat was almost completely gone. And here's the moment I want you to really hear. Margaret called my office on day 4. She said, "Doctor, I sat through my entire granddaughter's school play last night, and I didn't clear my throat once. Not once. I had forgotten what that felt like." Now, Margaret's situation points us toward the most important thing I need you to understand about persistent throat mucus in your age group. There are 5 specific causes that create this problem, and they often work together, which is exactly why single-solution approaches almost never work completely. Let me walk you through each one. The first thing you need to understand is this. The majority of persistent throat mucus in adults over 60 is caused by what's called chronic postnasal drip, but not in the way you probably think about it. When most people hear postnasal drip, they imagine a head cold, a sinus infection, something acute and obvious. But the postnasal drip that creates chronic throat mucus in your age group is different. It's subtle. It's caused by chronic, low-level inflammation in your nasal passages and sinuses that produces a steady, constant stream of mucus, day after day. It's not dramatic enough to give you headaches. It's not obvious enough to make your nose feel completely congested. It just drains continuously. Your sinuses have a lining that can become inflamed from allergies, dry air, viral infections months or years ago, even anatomical factors you've had your whole life. When that lining becomes inflamed, it produces excess mucus, and because your aging cilia can't clear it as fast as it's being produced, it accumulates. A landmark study, published in the European Archives of Otorhinolaryngology, followed 3,847 adults over 60 with chronic throat symptoms for 2 years. What they found was that 73% of them had identifiable chronic sinus inflammation when they actually received proper sinus examination. 73%. That's the overwhelming majority. Here's what I want you to do tonight. Before you lie down, spend 5 to 10 minutes breathing in steam from a hot shower or from a bowl of hot water with a towel draped over your head. If you want to enhance this, add a small pinch of sea salt to the water. Do this every single night for 14 consecutive nights, not when you remember, every night. This reduces inflammation and thins accumulated mucus noticeably. Now I need you to pay very close attention to what comes next. The second cause is one that most people never suspect. As we age, the muscles that control your swallowing and your throat function gradually weaken. This is called presbyphagia. It's as natural a part of aging as gray hair, but almost nobody knows it's happening. When those muscles weaken, they can't push swallowed saliva and mucus downward as efficiently as they used to. So it pools, it sits. Your body senses that pooling and interprets it as a threat. Your body responds by producing more mucus, trying to coat and protect the tissue. And you end up clearing your throat over and over because that accumulation feels dangerous even though physically you're safe. Here's what to do about it. Set a phone reminder for morning and evening. When that reminder goes off, deliberately swallow 10 times with real muscular intention. Think about pushing anything in your throat downward with force. You're doing physical therapy for muscles that have gotten lazy. Over 2 weeks, this conscious swallowing practice retrains those muscles, and you'll notice less pooling and less of that constant sensation. This next one is the one that concerns me most as a doctor. The third cause is medication side effect, specifically blood pressure medications. There's a class of blood pressure drugs called ACE inhibitors. They control blood pressure effectively and are prescribed millions of times every year, but they carry a side effect that most patients never connect to their throat symptoms. They cause persistent dry cough and chronic throat irritation in a significant number of people who take them. Not everyone, but a meaningful, documented percentage. And here's why this gets missed so frequently. The side effect can develop weeks or even months after you start the medication. So you started a blood pressure pill 8 months ago, and your throat started bothering you 5 months ago, and you never connected those two events. But that timing alignment is exactly what research describes. A study published in the American Journal of Hypertension examined this specific side effect in over 15,000 patients, aged 65 and above, over a 3-year period. What they found was that 12% of patients experienced persistent throat irritation and cough directly caused by their ACE inhibitor medication. 12% is 1 in every 8 people. If you're taking a blood pressure medication and your throat has been persistently bothered, call your pharmacist this week. Ask them if your blood pressure medication is an ACE inhibitor. If it is, ask your doctor whether switching to an ARB, an angiotensin receptor blocker, might be worth considering. This conversation takes 5 minutes and could be the answer you've been looking for. Type medication in the comments right now if you take a blood pressure medication and your throat has been bothering you. I want to know how many people watching need to have that conversation with their doctor. The fourth cause I'm about to explain is one that surprises almost everyone because the solution is so simple that people dismiss it. The fourth cause is dehydration. But let me give you the physiology, because this is not what most people think it is. Your mucus is mostly water. Its consistency, whether it is thin and fluid and easy to move or thick and sticky and difficult to clear, is directly determined by how well hydrated the surrounding tissue is. Think of maple syrup fresh from the bottle. It flows. It moves. Now imagine that same maple syrup sitting open in your pantry overnight. It becomes thick. It becomes sticky. It's harder to pour. The syrup hasn't changed. Only its hydration state has changed. Your mucus behaves in exactly the same way, based on your hydration state. Now here's the specific aging-related detail that makes this more than just a simple reminder to drink more water. Research has established clearly that the thirst mechanism becomes significantly less reliable as we age. A younger adult feels thirsty well before they become meaningfully dehydrated. But in older adults, that early warning system is blunted. You can be dehydrated enough to noticeably thicken your mucus and affect your daily comfort without feeling particularly thirsty at all. Type yes in the comments if you didn't know your thirst signal weakens as you age. This is the detail that changes everything about hydration. A practical fluid target referenced widely in clinical nutrition guidance is approximately 30 milliliters per kilogram of body weight per day from all sources. If you weigh 70 kilograms, that's 2.1 liters daily. If you weigh 80 kilograms, that's 2.4 liters daily. Water, herbal teas, broths, soups, and water-rich foods all count. Drink 1 full glass of warm water, specifically warm, not cold, the moment you wake up before anything else. Drink another glass of warm water 1 hour before you go to bed. Warm water specifically, because cold water can actually trigger more throat clearing in some people. Now, the fifth cause is one that rarely gets discussed in videos like this, and I think that's a significant gap. The fifth cause is the gut-lung axis. Your digestive tract and your respiratory system share regulatory pathways through your immune system and your nervous system. The health of your gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria living in your intestines, directly influences how reactive and how inflamed your upper airways are. When the balance of your gut microbiome becomes disrupted, a condition researchers call dysbiosis, it can activate immune responses that promote mucus overproduction in your airways. Not because anything is physically wrong with your throat, but because your gut is sending inflammatory signals that your respiratory system is responding to. Multiple peer-reviewed studies, including research published in the American Journal of Respiratory and Critical Care Medicine and the Journal of Allergy and Clinical Immunology, have confirmed that gut microbiome disruption can trigger immune responses that promote airway inflammation. Researchers even transplanted gut microbiota from patients with chronic lung disease into laboratory mice. Those mice showed measurably increased airway mucus production, demonstrating a direct causal link between gut health and what happens in your airways. What disrupts the gut microbiome in older adults? A diet low in fiber and fermented foods, repeated courses of antibiotics over the years, high sugar intake, chronic stress. These describe the daily reality of a very large portion of older adults. Add 1 small daily serving of a fermented food to your routine. Plain yogurt with live cultures, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut. These choices support the gut microbiome in ways that research links to reduced airway inflammation over time. Type gut in the comments if this is the first time you've heard about the gut-lung connection. This information rarely gets explained to people our age. Type Margaret in the comments if you have a moment coming up, a wedding, a graduation, a family dinner, where you want to sit through the whole thing without clearing your throat once. That's the moment Margaret got back. That's the moment you deserve too. Before I give you the complete action plan, I need to tell you something important. Most of the time, persistent throat mucus in older adults is benign. It is exactly what we've been discussing, manageable, addressable, and not dangerous. But your body sometimes uses symptoms to signal something that requires professional medical attention, not self-management. Please make an appointment with your doctor promptly if you notice any of the following. Mucus consistently tinged with blood, even a small amount. Difficulty swallowing that is gradually getting worse over weeks. Unexplained weight loss alongside your throat symptoms. A lump or persistent swelling in your neck that doesn't go away. A significant voice change that is not improving over time. These signs go beyond what we're discussing today. Please do not try to work around them. Bring them to your doctor immediately. I have an entire video coming specifically on the gut-lung connection because that one cause alone deserves a full conversation. Make sure notifications are on so you don't miss it. After 20 years of working with older adults and watching what happens when people finally understand what's really causing their throat symptoms, I developed something I call the Throat Reset Protocol. I want to give it to you right now because I believe it's the most systematic way to identify which of these causes is actually at work in your specific body. Layer 1 is inflammation identification. You're going to reduce sinus inflammation aggressively for 2 weeks using steam, proper hydration, and daily nasal saline rinses. Layer 2 is muscular retraining. You're going to deliberately retrain your throat muscles through conscious swallowing practice. Layer 3 is medication review. You're going to verify whether any medication you're taking is contributing to this problem. Layer 4 is sustained hydration. You're going to establish a deliberate daily water intake protocol. Layer 5 is gut support. You're going to begin introducing fermented foods consistently. Most people discover it's a combination of all 5 working together. Once you understand that, everything changes because you're not fighting the symptom blindly anymore. Here are the specific actions you can begin tonight. First, steam therapy. Every night before bed for the next 2 weeks, breathe steam from a hot shower or a bowl of hot water with a towel draped over your head for 5 to 10 minutes. Add a small pinch of sea salt to the water. Do this every single night for 14 consecutive nights. Second, conscious swallowing retraining. Set a phone reminder for morning and evening. When it goes off, deliberately swallow 10 times with real muscular intention. 2 weeks of this creates measurable change. Third, hydration protocol. Drink 1 full glass of warm water, specifically warm, not cold immediately upon waking before anything else. Drink another glass of warm water 1 hour before bed. Fourth, nasal saline rinses. Once daily, preferably in the morning, use a neti pot or squeeze-style saline rinse bottle. Use water that has been boiled and cooled to warm temperature. Never use straight tap water. Add a small pinch of plain sea salt. Optionally, add a very small pinch of bicarbonate of soda, which helps neutralize nasal acidity and thins mucus more effectively. Give it 2 full weeks of consistent daily use. Fifth, fermented food introduction. Add 1 small daily serving of a fermented food to your routine. Plain yogurt with live cultures, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut. Commit to eating it every day for the next month. Sixth, make an appointment with your doctor or pharmacist this week and ask specifically about your blood pressure medication. If you take an ACE inhibitor, discuss whether switching to an ARB class medication is an option. Persistent throat mucus in your age group is most commonly caused by chronic sinus inflammation draining down your throat, combined with age-related weakness in your throat muscles that can't clear it as fast as it's being produced, potentially complicated by a medication side effect, worsened by chronic mild dehydration, and often rooted in gut microbiome disruption. But every single one of these has a clear, evidence-based, practical response. Steam reduces sinus inflammation. Conscious swallowing retrains weakened throat muscles. Warm water hydration thins the mucus so it moves more easily. Saline rinses physically remove accumulated mucus. Fermented foods diversify your gut microbiome and reduce inflammatory signals. And a 5-minute conversation with your doctor about your blood pressure medication could reveal that the entire problem has been a treatable medication side effect all along. Margaret got her life back. You can too. Somewhere right now there is a doctor telling someone your age that this persistent throat mucus is just aging and there isn't much that can be done about it. That doctor is incomplete in their understanding. What you have is not aging. What you have is specific, identifiable, addressable physiology, and you now know exactly what it is. Share this video with someone you love who's been dealing with this same frustration. Send it to them. Tell them you found answers. That share might be the exact thing they needed to hear. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. This is where you get the truth about your health, when most doctors simply don't have the time to explain it. Leave me a comment and tell me this. Which of these 5 causes do you think is most likely at work in your body right now? I read every comment personally. I genuinely want to know. Your body has been working for you every single minute of your life, without asking for anything in return. The least you can do is give it the truth. I am Dr. Clifford Adeshina, and I will see you in the next one. Everything I have shared today is general medical information based on published research and clinical experience. It is not a personal diagnosis or a replacement for care from your own doctor. Always consult your physician or qualified healthcare provider before making any changes to your medication, diet, supplements, or health routine.